Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Detroit in Black and White, our Saturday morning's edition. Thank you guys so much for joining us this chilly March morning. Uh, we have Allan Lengel, Deadline Detroit, Washington Post. Hey, Allan, how are you?
Good, good. I did work for the Washington Post yesterday on the synagogue story. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And we also have Jim Nardone, our guy from downriver, the former chief of police for the Trenton Police Department. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning to you and to all our friends out there.
And good morning to well, of course, you guys know who I am. I'm Vanessa Moss,
Well,
candidate for Wayne County Probate Court.
tell them who you are so they know.
Candidate for Wayne County Probate Court.
How's the signature collection going?
Man, Allan,
It's an effort. It's a big.
it really is. But the weather has not been our friend. So people aren't really excited about standing outside, getting signatures and things like that. But it's coming along. I'm confident that I'll have what I'm looking for. Of course, I want more than what is required because you don't know what name is not, was not legitimate and what is legitimate. But I want to say good morning to Dewayla Boyce. She says, good morning, all. And Dominique Richmond, good morning. And for all of those that are joining us, hey, Karen, what's up? Hey, girl, hey. For all of you guys that are joining us on Detroit in Black and White, the greatest show on what? On these YouTube streets. We thank you for joining us. If you want to join us in the comment section, you're welcome to do so. But you can also come on into the room. Come on into the room. You can use your telephone, put the camera up to this link up here in the left corner and come onto the room. You can join, you can watch Detroit in Black and White on all social media platforms. All right. So we're going to start off because Allan made sure he let us know that he wrote an article for the Washington Post regarding what happened the other day at the synagogue in a suburb of Detroit. Allan, what is it that you have to say?
We talked about this in the very beginning. And I'll get into a few things. We talked about in the very beginning. The Iran war happens, and so things are happening in the Middle East. I mean, Iran is bombing other countries where the U.S. has interests and military bases, which the U.S. has military bases everywhere that we don't realize in Bahrain, and they have a central headquarters in Qatar. They just all over, and so we talked about this in the beginning that the war was going to cause gasoline prices to rise. I think 20% of the oil in the world comes through the Straits of Hormuz, right there, and Iran has been bombing them to make sure that nobody's going through. So our gasoline prices are going up, and we saw as a result, also Israel and Hezbollah and Lebanon have been going at it, and then we have Thursday in West Bloomfield, where a Lebanese American, he was a citizen, he became a citizen in 2016. He ran his pickup truck, his Ford F-150, into the building, right through the doors, into the hallway. The school it's a Reform synagogue. They had 103 children there, preschool and nursery in the building. He had fireworks in his car. He had a gun. He got into a gun exchange, and apparently at some point he was stuck and he just shot himself in the head. And I got some grief about this in the Jewish community in Deadline Detroit. The third day, you as a journalist, you write the first day just the facts, and then as the days go on, you're looking for other angles and explanations for what happened. And what it was is, the Dearborn Heights mayor had said that he lost relatives in a bombing Israeli military strike, and he was obviously angry. And so the headline was basically that, a guy who attacked synagogue had lost relatives in an Israeli strike. And I put it on Facebook, and some of the Jewish friends were angry that I had a headline like that, and saying that by saying that I was saying that he was justified, and it's not justified, but it's an explanation, because we want to know why people do crazy things. I mean, it could have been one of the biggest school massacres in American history. They happen to have great security who have been training for these type of events, and they were able to, stop him. But people have been giving me some grief on saying it doesn't matter, who cares, you shouldn't, and it's like, it's not an explanation. It's like, for whatever, people start, 9/11, people started attacking people, Muslims, Arabics. They were even attacking people who weren't Muslim or Arabic. They were attacking Sikhs, from India, who were wearing, but it's just the essence of war and stuff like that.
Yes, I have to ask you this.
Yeah.
You said that you said that it's not an explanation.
Well, they say it's an excuse. I'm providing.
Obviously, they don't know the difference between explanation and excuse.
Right.
Because I agree with you. Believe it or not, the explanation is that, listen, when you have a war like this, things like this is going to happen. Is it a good thing? No. But this guy had family members that were killed as a matter of war, and we're going to see more things like that. I'm going to tell you my take on what happened the other day, but we're going to go to Jim. Jim, what do you have to say?
Wait a minute. I'm going to back up here, and I'm not going to give you any grief, Allan, but you didn't say that his wife ran off with his kids either. He had an American wife, and she left him. Let's go back to March 12th.
Okay.
Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia. Allah Akbar, U.S. citizen, former National Guard, attacked and killed an instructor, an ROT instructor at ODU. Mm-hmm. His name was Muhammad Jalla. And the students there rendered Mr. Jalla no longer alive. Nobody knows how they killed him, but God bless these students that had the courage to stand up to this evil human being. So then this last few days, the Temple Israel Synagogue, this guy sat out in the parking lot for hours. Then he decided that he was going to, because his life is in ruins for whatever reason. It's a reason, but we can't make excuses for these human beings. This was a madman that decided he was going to kill 100 kids, all right? And God bless that security team that had the courage and the training to fight this guy off. This isn't new. These things happen all the time, right? This happened last summer in Wayne, Michigan. 2 or 3 guys in an F-150 and a couple of firearms stopped an attacker. Right. We don't know why he attacked. We do know why the guy broke into the house in Fowlerville and tried to kill somebody, and then he was shot down by the victim. But what's completely obvious here is we have mad people in this country that need to be brought back. We need to stand up. Over Shanksville, Pennsylvania on 9/11/2001. What happened? American citizens, brave American citizens, got up and fought off this attacker, right? They didn't have firearms. ODU people don't have firearms. We have to put an end to this, all right? We need to provide security for our kids. And it's clear to me that whoever's been pushing for 100 years the lie that firearms are not good and they don't protect people are fucking lying. And it's time that we decide as a society to fight back with trained people that can stop these attacks. If this had happened in Trenton, Allan, if this had happened in Lincoln Park or in Canton, you know what would happen right now? We'd have 100 dead kids. We don't have 100 dead kids because somebody was trained, they had firearms, and they were able to defend these children.
Jim, could I agree. I agree. I mean, look, I agree with a lot, but I did a story back when I was on retainer with ABC News. I did a story about open carry, and what happened was in Atlanta, a guy at the Atlanta airport, it was open. It was about airports, open carry and stuff like that. In Atlanta, a guy was carrying an AK-47 or some type of assault weapon. openly, and people in the airport were freaking out. And the police went up, and the guy said, "I have my constitutional rights, and you better stop harassing me." So I interviewed a guy, former airport security guy for Tel Aviv Airport, the Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv, and he said, "You don't want." He says, "You want security to be carrying guns, but you don't want everybody walking around the airport carrying guns, because people are going to be shooting and killing each other." I think what we're talking about is that we need guns, but we don't need guns in the hands of everybody. And we do have the Second Amendment, and I'm not against the Second Amendment, but there's a balance there between just saying guns are good or guns are bad.
That's not my point, Allan, but thank you.
No, I understand, but I'm just saying that we have to be, there are a lot of guns in the city of Detroit. There are a lot of people who carry guns, and people get kids, the downside, kids get a hold of guns that are not locked. People get angry, they're drunk, they get pissed at somebody. There's a card game, somebody says, "Wait a minute, you cheated," bang. There's a balance there. So
I agree, but my point is we have convinced people, we have programmed people that firearms are the devil, right? And if that we have programmed people from a young age, as I was programmed, that firearms are bad. I want to say hello to our friends. What's up? I'm going to say HS75. Deborah Harris, good morning. Karen Wentz, Karen C. First it came from me and you did nothing. Thank you. Kenneth Reed, the war and fallout is only going to get worse. That may be true. Jay. Donna Worden, good morning to you. She calls me Mike. I don't know why she calls me Mike, but I'm going to have to come up with a name for her. Good morning. Nice to see you. That's a friend of mine from the gym. And Jill Sheridan. And then there's Vanessa's support team there. Tracy and again, Karen, Dominique, Duela. That's your team, Vanessa.
That's our team. That's our family. That's
I know, but they're your
family. Did you say good morning to our guy, Marlon Holt?
Is Marlon there too? Good morning, Marlon. I miss Marlon.
Kenneth Paul, Deborah Harris, Sherman, I think it is. He said, "What up, Doe? Detroit Black and White, Detroit Black and White hosts, viewers, and listeners." I did not say this morning that we want you to like, subscribe, and share. Subscribe, like, and share. Subscribe. So let me tell you about my experience the other day. This was this. When was the West Bloomfield situation? Was it Thursday? It was Thursday, right? It was Thursday. So Thursday, I was driving. I was on the lodge. I was driving from downtown to Southfield. As I'm driving, before I get to the lodge and the boulevard, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 police vehicles driving extremely fast. They weren't marked, but you saw the lights. I got nervous. I was like, what the heck is going on? Then I saw Channel 7 News, and it's like a caravan, right? And so I'm like, oh my God, everybody's trying to pull over. I mean, I've never seen cars travel that fast in all my life. I was scared. So when I get to my destination, I said, something's going on the lodge. And they said, the person I was talking to, they said, yeah, I keep getting all these text messages about something's going on. There's so many police cars on the lodge. So as I turn around, I leave there, I turn around, I'm headed back home. On the other side, I now see armored cars. I see 1, 2, then I see a blue van, then I see a white van. And I'm on the phone talking to one of my friends, and she said, yeah, there's an active shooter in West Bloomfield. So I'm like, well, you have all these agencies coming from different areas. I mean, you have all these police from the Detroit. Clearly, they was from Detroit, right? Going out to West Bloomfield. And, I understand that and Jim, you can chime in on this. I was told, because this individual's father is a Detroit police officer, when there's an active shooter in areas, it's all hands on deck, and other agencies from other areas all go there. And I understand it was like 600 and over 600 police officers there. What is the protocol for this?
I have a hard time believing there were 600. There was probably 40 or 50. I'm
Okay.
surprised that Detroit responded to that
Oh,
event.
they
There's
did.
something called mutual aid and downriver mutual aid. It's the whole, everybody from downriver. Typically we have something like that. You'd have a SWAT team respond. You would have every adjoining community and probably communities that had the resources. You'd be asking for help. So I don't know if Detroit was there or not. More than likely, they called Detroit because Detroit has resources.
Hmm.
So my understanding is, go ahead, Allan.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, you had all the, Farmington Hills, state police,
Federal.
yeah, FBI, ATF, they all responded. But, a lot of them responded. I mean, I think the FBI probably get out there a half hour, 45 minutes after the incident. I mean, basically, the incident was taken care of. They have a very extensive, in the post, I quoted one of the members of the synagogue as saying, the security, they practice these drills all the time for the high holidays, which are Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Hashanah is the Jewish New Year. Yom Kippur is the Day of Atonement. Those are the two holiest days of the year. They had drones flying up above, monitoring. They had police or security on the roof. They had West Bloomfield police sitting out. It's a real thing at every synagogue now. And, I mean, we've seen it in churches. We saw it was in North Carolina. I can't remember, North Carolina or South Carolina. There was a mass shooting of Black congregants by a neo-Nazi and stuff like that. So we think we're safe. We saw it in Pittsburgh at the synagogue there, where a gunman went in and killed people. And it's scary because we go to temple or church or whatever, a mosque, for spiritual nourishment and for safety, because the world is so scary on the outside. We go there for some comfort, and it's scary to see that,
So I think that one more thing I think that's really important for our viewers to understand, Vanessa, if I may.
Yes, please.
Is that the security team at Temple Israel Synagogue, these people aren't amateurs, all right? They're professionals. The people that defended these children are not yahoos down at the First Presbyterian that have three guys, 70-year-old guys carrying, whatever, Smith & Wesson 5-shot pistol airways. These are professionals, and this was this attack. Kind of my point this morning, I guess maybe I didn't explain it exactly, is the reason this guy gave up and shot himself is because he was up against a formidable foe. These people were trained, they were prepared, and I'm sure Allan covered it in a story at the Washington Post. These aren't amateurs here, all right? And what sickens me is these are the kind of people that should be protecting our schools. These are the kind of people that should, you can't get on an airplane after 9/11, or 9/11. There have been no hijackings. There have been no similar incidents because we had the courage, we had the drive and determination to prevent this kind of action from happening again. And these churches like this one, these are people that were prepared. And we can say it's a security team or it's a local police. No, this is the organization. This is the temple. This is the church that knew what they were up against, and they decided they weren't going to put up for it. And bravo to them.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're gonna go. We're gonna shoot to break, and then we'll go to the guests. And what do you guys want to talk about? All right, we're gonna go to break. We'll come back. Detroit Black and White, our Saturday mornings edition.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
We're back, Detroit in black and white, our Saturday morning's edition. I'm going to go to some comments. Mr. 40 Scratch says, what Trump and his base have done is inflame tension between Muslims and Christians. Guys like Jake Long and someone else at his side keep on pushing it with Muslims or other protesters and not see. Kenneth Powell says, I'm with Oprah, you get a gun. Deborah Harris says, cowboy and Indians, everyone does not need to carry. Terry McCrimmon, thank you so much. No one is safe in West Bloomfield and Bloomfield Hills. What did he say? He says, I'm trying to read it. People shop at grocery stores and department stores and all other kinds of venues. Stay aware of your environment. They are here. Joan Merriweather, good morning, Joan. It was good seeing you the other day. Tamari Kimmett says, good morning, Detroit in black and white. Complimented the show from last night. She said the interview with Karen Dumas and her and Adolph were correct about WGPR being underutilized. DeBragg says, guess what, Allan? There are a lot of guns in the suburbs too.
That's true. True.
Yes. Donna Warden apologized, Jim. She said she must have been thinking about the reunion. Taylor May said all hands on deck. Dominique Richmond says, I didn't hear them mention Detroit. They did say Plymouth Police was there. Norfolk, Virginia. Donna Wharton says, I've seen camera store footage of the terrorists buying $2,000 in fireworks earlier. Tamiri says, wow, that was crazy. Good morning, Angela Beatty. Deborah Harris says, based on the incident at Temple, Israel, and West Bloomfield Township, Michigan on March 12, 2026, the initial response was handled by West Bloomfield Township Police and Oakland County law enforcement, not directly by Detroit police officers, according to reports. Police arrived within 5 minutes of the active shooter and confirmed security guards neutralized the attacker. Reed says the shooting Allen's referring to was the Mother Emanuel in Charleston, South Carolina, where the pastor and 9 other congregants were murdered by Dylan Roof. All that for one guy. Jill Sheridan, good morning. She says, are sky marshals still on flights? Because often I hear about passengers having to subdue an unruly passenger, or there was an assault on a flight attendant, etc. Donna Warden says, I am in complete concurrence, Mike. These Islamic radicals are hell-bent on killing anyone that's not Islamic. They have been saying this since before 9/11. Stephanie Jackson, good morning, sis. Good morning. Karen C. Winston says, right, shoot them up, bang, bang. Tamir Kimmett says, I want to talk about the war Israel dragged us into. Our blood and treasure of the world is hit. And Dominic Richmond says they had Berkeley School shelter in place. So I will say, I don't know of Plymouth or any other police department taking the lodge out, going out that way. So all I can tell you is what I saw and what I was told by someone whose father was with the Detroit Police Department.
And typically it's over before the police arrive.
Right.
And it was over before
it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes not. Look,
Police arrive.
Down in Texas, which was ridiculous. They were held off for, I don't know how long it was, probably 45 minutes or something like that, while the gunman was just continuing to kill people. I mean, I'm curious your opinion on that whole case.
My opinion? Or
yeah.
Mike's opinion?
Yeah.
Those cops should be in prison.
Yeah. That's what I mean, look, I get it. Not everybody has the heroic or bravery or the courage to go straight at gunmen, but that's your job. People are getting killed. That's your job, to risk your life. And if you don't want to do that, get another job, do something that's safer. I mean, it's a dangerous job, as you know, Jim. Probably were in some.
After the events of 1999 it was Colorado, where the first big school shoot, or the most recent school shooting, they trained the police not to stand Columbine. They
know what?
They trained the police to go in and rescue people and put their and do what they're supposed to do. And apparently in Texas that policy wasn't adhered to.
Well, you know what? You say that these people, I mean, you have to look out. One of our viewers talked about, you have to be aware of our environment everywhere we go. It's dangerous, period. It could be a synagogue, it could be a church, it could be the building that I'm in, it could be the courthouse, it could be the grocery store. So, you have to be, not only do you have to be aware, but Jim, I hear you saying we probably need security everywhere we go. We have it at the airport, maybe at all these public places.
No, I'm not talking paranoia. I'm talking about schools.
Well, that's what it sounds like. That's what some of our viewers are saying.
If you go to, can I say real quick? And then, if you go to Israel, you go into a mall. They have, you go through a security check. You go to the train station, you go through a security check. You go to the movie theater. We've chosen to have more freedom, and thankfully we've had a few incidents, but we've had shootings in movie theaters. We've had, everything. And so it's up to us to decide how much we want. Look, when we go to the ballpark now, I remember when I was at the Washington Post, they opened up the MCI Center for basketball and hockey, and Bill Clinton was there that night for the opening of it. And they had security checks through. Everyone had to go through a metal detector. And I thought, this is insane. It'll take forever. But now you go to Comerica Park, you go to Little Caesars Arena, whatever, you have to go through security.
Listen, I went to Egypt, and guess what? Security. If you go into the mall, security, they had us get out the vehicle, dogs, the whole nine. Walked around the vehicle, opened the doors, opened the trunk, all of that. So in other countries, they do have that. And I don't think that's paranoia. We have a guest, somebody who comes on quite regularly. He hasn't been on in the last few weeks, but Mr. Evans, welcome to Detroit Black and White. What you want to talk about this morning?
Okay. I had to wake up when I heard this conversation, so I don't look my best. But one thing I like to say is about security. The situation was bad out in Bloomfield, but I also think soft spots like schools, they need to take so many teachers and take them to CCW classes, because you can't have enough police. The soft spots is going to be bad. So if they take the teachers and train them to arm themselves, I guarantee you people won't walk up in them schools, because it's going to get bad. It's going to get a little worse. But if they know that them teachers are armed, a person ain't going to walk up in the school with 18 teachers shooting back at them. You're going to put people in danger if you don't arm these teachers. I'm telling you, got to arm the teachers. Like West Bloomfield, they was ready. They was prepared when the war started. I'm sure they brought in more security. Yeah, but one thing I don't like, I hate to say, don't get mad at me, is how the other community, soon something like that happened, they start waving flags in front of their businesses. They start putting them on a digital hairboard and they digital signs on, we don't condone this. They might don't condone it, but every time we spend our money with them, and I'm telling you, every time we spend our money with them, half that money lead the country back over to that country and support them same radical people. I'm telling you, they do it. I don't got no proof. Just like over, you can watch the money leave.
You don't have no proof. Why are you saying it?
I don't, because I'm not one of them. But I guarantee. But all right, I'm gonna tell you why I really
guarantee something that you don't have no proof of.
All right, put it like this. I'm gonna tell you I do got proof, because when I go
so then you make up your mind. You say one thing or the other.
Because I ain't one of them. I'm not them. I'm American black. But what I'm saying is, when I go to the bank and pay my card note, my own personal card note, they say you got to show an ID to pay a bill. I say, why do I have to show ID to pay my loan that you gave me? Because people, this is like what they say, because people from other races send the money out the country. I'm like, well, I'm just paying a car note. So what I'm saying is the banks know it, the government know it. We fund these people from here to do damage to our own people. I'm telling you.
So we have some comments. Deborah Harris says, make sure the teachers have no mental health issues before gun trade. Taylor May, hey, uh, Taylor May says, my God, now we're arming teachers. Karen C. Winston says, I say no to gun toting teachers. Fred Allen says, they don't pay teachers enough to be security. And Jay says, bro, you can't wholesale train teachers to kill people. Let's get real. You also have Tamara Kimmich. She says, we didn't have to go to war with Iran. This is an Epstein file cover up, distraction for Mossad and Trump. Timothy Squire Bay says, Israel started all of this. So, of course, Iran is going to try to get back at what Israel did to their hospital. What Israel did to their hospital. Okay. 40 Scratch says that part of the world has terrorism threats and attacks every damn day. I think he's responding to my comment about Egypt, maybe your comment about Israel, Allan. And Kenneth Powell says it's not worth it. And Deborah says Deborah Harris says she has no problem with security checks.
How about Kenneth Reed? I want Allan. I want you to answer that question. But Kenneth Reed's an educator, and we have some educators, and I think that they should weigh in on this too.
Okay.
But I'll let you.
Okay, first I want to answer Michael. And Michael, I appreciate what you're saying, and theoretically, it seems like a good idea to arm teachers, but I think it's so dangerous to have. I mean, these people on Thursday at West Bloomfield. I mean, former cops. Go through all these training sessions of how to deal with a shootout with somebody. I think the problem is, you have teachers, who are not really, that's not their thing. And, students it's potential for students to get killed and whatever. I think it's just, I'm not sure they're quite up to the task. I get it. It should look in Israel, the bus drivers all carry guns.
They do.
Yeah, they all carry guns and stuff like that because people blowing up buses and attacks and stuff. So I wouldn't be, to me, I always thought a good idea to have, DPD like police driving buses so that they could not only, have a safety issue there, but also be able to drive the bus and all that kind of stuff. But I get the teacher thing. It's just I think the dangers may also outweigh the benefits of having teachers. But I think there should be security. When I went to Oak Park High with Adolph and I went to Oak Park, we had, I don't think they were armed, but we had in the cafeteria, we had Detroit off-duty Oak Park police officers in the cafeteria. I think it's not a bad idea. And, there are schools I know in DC, they have, and I assume in Detroit, they have police officers stationed for the schools, and I think we need that, considering what we're seeing. But
listen. I'm from I sent educators to college from superintendents to a principal now to a social worker. What I'm saying, I'm not saying teachers per se, every teacher. I'm saying train some of the male teachers because I'm telling you, no, well, I'm just saying, well, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. But what I'm trying to tell you is when these people send their kids to school, they want their kids to come home. So what I'm trying to tell you is it's going to be really bad when these people go to school, they drop their kids off at school, and they don't come home because some dumb, ideological, whatever y'all want to call them, hurt these kids because they know it's soft spots. People target soft spots. And I'm going to say it again. They need to arm the teachers because if you go to any police station in the city of Detroit, before you walk in there, they got bulletproof, they got gun machines, gun detectors walking into a place where they got guns. So why not the schools? I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to stand on it.
Well, you know what? one of our guests said, I forgot who it was that commented that says, okay, I'm with you, basically agree with you, but that you make sure that the teachers have a mental health check. The other week, I was on social media and there is a video that was going around and went viral. It was this teacher that was, I mean, she was going in on this student, talking to him all kinds of crazy, using all kinds of profanity. That's a teacher. Is that somebody you want to be armed with a gun? Supposed to
No,
protect students? No. So
no.
when you make these sweeping statements, I'm like, no, the teachers have a hard enough time doing their job. They can't
But
even do their job. They got to be social worker,
there you
mama,
go.
daddy, housekeeper.
That's right.
And
That
we're
has
not
to be
succeeding.
you're going to add, okay, now you're going to be an armed security guard. Get the heck out of here. I disagree with that. Okay.
No, no, not armed
Oh, yeah.
security guard. I'm not saying armed security guard. I'm saying just to protect our kids. Well, we can't put the teachers in there. Well, we dang sure better hire enough police to be there. But I'm telling you, the soft spots is going to be a target. People don't go places where they know they're going to get a challenge. They don't do it. I'm
I
telling
don't
you.
disagree with you, but that whole idea of arming teachers, I'm sorry. That people, we dump on teachers every day. They overwork, they're underpaid, they're
That's true.
disrespected every single day. And you know
Absolutely.
what? It's like going into going into a war, as far as I'm concerned, when you go to some of these schools. So to add, okay, now we want you to be trained. Listen, if I get trained, I'm getting trained for me. Okay. If I go and get my CCW, it's because it's for my own protection. I don't think that that should be added to an educator. Go ahead, Allan.
I was going to say what we see with the synagogues in particular, but it should be everywhere. I mean, there are grants for added security, which they've taken advantage of. What we have to have for the school districts is part of the budget, that there be a security, baked in to the budget that says 3 officers per school as part of the budget. Whether they have to get state supplemental funds or federal funds or whatever. I mean, it's important, as kids should be safe. These kids are doing drills now to, in case of these type of incidents like that. So I think security is part of education now. It should be part of the budget there, and we should take care of the children and protect them.
Well, I'm also going to add, and Jim, you quiet. I'm also going to add, you should feel safe going to worship. I should feel safe going to wherever I go to
Absolutely.
worship. Okay, so where I go worship, there are security guards. Now, whether or not they trained or whatever, that's a whole other story. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, we should be able to feel free to go wherever we want to go without the fear of some lunatic decided that, we're going to shoot up the spot. But the reality is, we're here. Go ahead, Jim.
I don't really have anything to add. I just will comment on what Mike said, and I'm going along the lines of Vanessa. We need to figure out a way to protect our kids. I agree with you. I'll go with you a bit up the ladder, but I'm going to stop because here's my problem. Here's my challenge is, we're paying whatever it is, $10,000 per pupil, 9,000. I'm not sure what the number is. I wish Eric were here. He would tell us 9,300 per pupil. And we're not educating kids the way we need to be educating the kids. And this is my only issue. When you give teachers more responsibility away from educating kids, we have a problem because we're not getting the job done now. And if you give a teacher more responsibility, as a police chief that they put in charge of a fire department, we've seen how people being trained to be firefighters, and now they're 30 years old, and you try and hand them a firearm and say, hey, you're a cop now, or you're a firefighter. It just really doesn't work from my experience.
Well, Jim, I'm not saying be a police officer. I'm saying put it like this. A hero. People always talking about heroes. Okay. But if I'm a teacher, I love that job. That's the person's problem when they get jobs they don't love. If I'm a teacher and I don't even have a gun, or and I see somebody finna harm a kid, I'm gonna step in front of the situation because I'm a man and I raise my kids. So
Right.
why not step in front of the situation with a protection? With, I'm gonna say protection because y'all don't want to say guns, with protection, because I can't be a hero and then my kids, I'm not coming home to my kids. What I'm trying to say, you might I'm saying it the way you might understand what I'm saying, but we have to do it because I'm telling you, people being heroes, they in cemeteries. When you can be a hero, and I'm a veteran, I'm a 76 Yankee Y10, I'm a veteran. So I'm telling you, it's time out for being heroes. Let's start being protectors with protection. But let me say it like that then.
I want to say Bill Cycley has made some comments, and
Yes.
I want to comment on that. I mean, it's 100% right. I mean, first of all, our teachers are underpaid. I mean, we talk about commitment to education. We don't pay our teachers enough. A teacher should be a high-paying job and an honorable job, not a job that people have to take second jobs for or are always looking for a better, to take care of their family. And second of all, not only paying the teachers more, but again, protecting the children with more security at these schools. And we saw what, if you have the funds, we saw at the synagogue in West Bloomfield what good security looks like,
Yes,
whether
sir.
it's private or with the police or whatever. But we have to, here's these children in schools, they're sitting ducks. We've seen it where, Sandy Hook, where a guy comes in and just blows away these kids. You see these videos on social media where the parents are raising awareness about guns and stuff like that, and there's such pain in their faces and their voices, and this is years later already. They've lost their children.
Yeah, we have. So I'm going to go to some of the.
Can we take a break?
Yeah. Yep. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
We're back, Detroit in Black and White, our Saturday morning's edition. You know what? I'm going to let Jim read some of the comments from.
I wanted to read some of the comments.
Detroit, Black and White.
So Alyssa Slotkin said Jewish people are the most targeted, which is wrong. Black people are. That's Tamari Kemet. We seldom say Jewish people are being targeted, but Black people are police, racist, employers. Let's not separate people. Let's protect all people. And I thought
I'm gonna say this. You said let's not separate people. Well, listen, Slotkin, you said it.
Well, she said it. Okay, she's not the smartest. She's not the.
She started it.
Well, she feels like a victim because she comes from that religion. I understand that. But we didn't talk about protecting teachers. We only talked about protecting kids. And when you guys were talking about protecting people, no one mentioned protecting teachers, what I thought was kind of interesting.
I agree.
Aren't their lives important too? Isn't it important to protect teachers? And Mike thinks that the teachers can protect themselves and the kids. And in some cases, that may be true, but we can talk more about that. I'd like to say again, most society wants this kind of thing, has been happening more and more frequently. We have a big problem with Islamic radicals. Donna Warden, thank you, Donna. Training, Joe Merriweather, and I think that's the big message here. This isn't a message about firearms. This is a message about preparation. This is an amazing defense of those young kids' lives up there in West Bloomfield. I can't say it enough. We can talk about the police that were showing up and people were laughing at them because there was a fat policeman with an AR-15. You can make fun of all that. Well, guess what? They showed up after, and that's typically what happens. And there's a message there too, as Mike is kind of pointing out. Regular kids who are more of a threat with school shootings, Mr. 40 Scratch. Goes back to family and upbringing is what can be a real problem. Let the kids, thank you, Mr. 40 Scratch. Let the kids in all schools have their cell phones. Yeah, Deborah, I think you have a point there. I don't really understand that. It's an emergency. I know they're trying to take phones away from kids. It should be as easy as a teacher saying, if I see a phone on the, if I see a phone out of your pocket, it's going in my desk, right? The teachers would take our things, whether it was a yo-yo or whatever, when we were kids. I don't like, Allan knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's wow.
I don't like that they're taking the kids the cell phones from the kids. Schools have increased some security practices. Ms. Suzuki, requiring valid ID in some schools. Deadline Detroit, I agree with you, Bill. And there's our friend Day. Bill, I agree with you. We are living in a different age. When we went to school, we didn't need armed police. Now we do need police officers in school. Timothy, thank you, Timothy. We need some protection. Metal detectors are already in some schools. Well, it's important to note that in Detroit there are metal detectors, and we don't have as many incidents. We have some, let's just say, a layer of protection.
But Jim, half the metal detectors don't even work. They don't even work.
And Mike Bunch, yeah, I believe that too. Mike Bunch points out that teachers are already heroes without having to carry a firearm. Thank you, Mike Bunch. That goes along with Vanessa's. I'm going to brag. Who's going to save the kids from the other kids? Bully is real. Thank you, DeBrag 921. That's a valid point. Metal detectors work in the courthouse. Why not schools? Marlon Holt. Bill Cycley, let's admit that we claim that we're concerned about our kids with our words, but we've never demonstrated with our actions. We've never done anything to prevent school shooting, not because we don't know how, because we don't think it's important enough. I think that's exactly my point today. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. When will enough young people's death be enough that we're going to stand up? One event after 9/11 changed the whole airline industry. Lockdown drills, Ms. Suzuki. Can you imagine arming a teacher and they have had a bad day with students? No, don't arm the teacher. Security guards are good enough. Let's use grant money, Joan Merriweather. I think the money's right there. The money is there. We have the money to do this, right? I believe that. Who's not going to spend an extra $1 a year or $5 out of their taxes to protect our children? I don't think it's a money issue. I think Bill hit it right on the head. It's we don't think it's important enough, or I don't know the answer.
We're not committed. We're not committed enough. I mean, like Correct. I say, teachers should get, whatever. They should be making high salaries so they're desirable, so we get the best teachers, the most dedicated teachers. And we aren't committed to our educational system the way we
Tamari
should.
Says we need to deal with the root cause of violence. That's a bigger point, Tamari, and that's exactly the root.
Right.
Why do they need police officers in school? They're not trying to take a bullet. Stephanie, thank you, Stephanie. Nor are they trying to take a bullet. Marlon. Jill had a question earlier about security and belts and shoes. And Jill, I have no darn idea why they're taking your belt at the probably so you don't set off the metal detector would be my only guess, that they would take your belt because there's a buckle on it.
I want to say, I want to advocate for pre-check TSA. I don't know, it's like maybe $85 or something like that. I can't remember what it is, but you go right through. You don't have to take off any, you don't have to take off your shoes, your belt, everything. It's just so much. You don't have to go through the X-ray thing. You just go through the metal detector. It makes travel so much easier and so different. It makes it
Thank
easier.
you, Angela, for your comment. Kenneth Reed, he's tweaking. Mental health checks for all people working in the schools. Why not have 6 or armed police officers in the school, regardless if they're male or female? Timothy, thank you, Timothy. What if a teacher accidentally kills a student? Then what? Who's responsible? Jay, I want to touch on that. If we can't fix the gun problem and protect them, teachers do not want to carry. Jay, I think that it's a. And I think Allan would probably agree with this one. It's an awesome responsibility to carry a firearm. The reason that I rarely do or never do, mostly never, is because of that responsibility. When you're a teacher working amongst young people, we have to think about the responsibility that a teacher has of getting kids here, getting kids to the bathroom, getting kids to, a sick kid that has to, get treatment, get to the nurse's office. where is that firearm? And that's a great point. Thank you for that point. Hi, Jan.
Well, so I'm going to ask two questions of everybody. One, Jim, you made a comment that uh, somebody made a comment about the gun problem. I'm going to say it's not a gun problem, it's a people problem, okay? Because the gun can't get up and shoot itself, okay? Two, Jim, you made a comment that you're not for uh, teachers or school districts making the kids put their phone away, put them in a bag or whatever the case may be. Why is that?
For this kind of incident, if there was an 8-year-old little boy or little girl at the temple, and all heck broke loose and they found themselves alone, they would have an option to use that phone. If you've confiscated their cell phone, they're on their own. And in some cases, a cell phone is a lifeline. We've seen in society how these cell phones are a lifeline to people, victims of crime on a regular basis. And once you collect all those phones, those lifelines are gone. That's just my opinion.
What do you think, Allan?
I'm sorry, I was reading a comment. Say that again.
Right. I said, what are your thoughts on kids not being allowed to have their phones during 3 hours at school?
I don't think that's a bad idea. When I taught journalism at University of Maryland, we had computers, and I tried to be the cool teacher, and I didn't turn off the computers, but people were on social media the whole time, and I finally said, I'm turning off the computers during class. I mean, it's a distraction I don't think kids should need to have. I mean, if parents really need to get a hold of their children, they can call the office if there's some emergency. I don't think kids need to have phones during the class, during class time.
What's interesting, I'm going to get to you, Dave. What's interesting is I've had this conversation in the hair salon. The person who services me is staunchly against them taking phones because of what our concern is what Jim has indicated. But you have educators who say exactly what Allan says. So where's the medium? My girlfriend says, I'm not going to, they can call me all day long and talk about my daughter keeping her phone, but I am not going to tell her to turn in her phone. She needs to keep her phone. I need to be aware of if something happens, I want to be aware of it from her. So, okay, we have Dave who's decided to join in Detroit Black and White. Hello, Dave. Thank you so much for using your camera and coming on into the room. What do you have to say?
Well, first of all, I want to say hello to my Detroit Black and White family, Coach T, Allan, Jim.
Hey.
Yourself.
Good to see you, Dave.
Ms. Moss and Coach T. I see Adolph is not here today, but I watched the show yesterday that you all had. I wish I would have came on there yesterday, Vanessa, because number one, of my 3 experiences, that was chief of staff for 3 different political people, but I'm gonna stick on the topic for today. So dealing with the schools and the terrorist problem that we had yesterday, and with the children with these phones, number one, they are attached. Because if you all have been seeing on the algorithms, there's people having lawsuits against these platforms, Google, YouTube, because the addiction, and it's causing different medical things and taking the focus away from kids, let alone adults. So I just tuned in, because I just walked in. You're supposed to be concentrating on class. Now, you can utilize the technology from the smartphones for class purposes. But it is a distraction because there's so many different outlets for them that they tune into. So I just feel like it's a time and a place for everything, So if you're gonna use your smartphone, use it for the purpose that you're using it for AI, or to look up different references or different resources for class participation. But you're not supposed to be on social media and just scrolling.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. You want to go back to some of our comments, Jim? Marlon says hairdressers are bullies too. You hilarious.
What if Miss Suzuki, we don't need for 1,000 students to be screaming into a phone during an emergency. That's a good point. I understand that. We need them to follow safe emergency practices, lockdown, fire and that's a great point. Thank you for that. My only thought is if there was a kid out in the classroom and all hell broke loose and the kid was running and looking for help, and you've denied them that one opportunity. I'm not saying that we should have 100 kids on a phone, but I think that at least in the Virginia Tech shooting, there were people giving. There were students, and they were college students, were describing where the attacker was, and
You talking about yesterday's shooting, Jim?
No, I'm talking about back at Virginia Tech, which was
But
probably.
guess what? Everybody, I'm finna get off this, but everybody's saying they don't want this and they don't want that. When it happening to their grandkids or their kids, even Vanessa, I saw her pretty grandkids on this show. She will be running down there with her gun toting, getting on the plane to stop these people. We gotta stop it. I'm telling y'all, if the soft targets is the spot, they not going anywhere where they know it's protected. They gonna go to the soft targets. I'm telling you, it's
I
a lot of
appreciate
people.
you.
No, listen. It's a lot of people that came across this border under Biden. They in this city, they in this country, and they sleeper cells. And it's going to happen. So we gotta be prepared.
Hey,
Spoken from the words of a warrior, a man that put his life on the line for this country. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for your position. Right. Thank you for coming on. Come back. We love to have you. We love to have Mike.
I like Mike because he's very active in the community. I just realized who that was. I'm friends with him on Facebook, and he advocates for the people a lot.
So, Allan, there's a couple of comments that I want you to
Sure.
exactly. Mary Kimmett has made some comments.
Sure.
If you don't mind addressing responding to those comments.
Okay.
Let me see something.
And Allan respond to that, and Miss Jim, I want you to respond to Miss Suzuki. Mm-hmm. All right, go ahead, Allan.
What comments is it there?
Tamari says, are Jewish children more precious than other children? Israel and America killed 160 children in a school in Iran.
I mean, that's obviously a rhetorical question. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, all children, if you believe in God, all children are God's children. There's no difference. I mean, that's the problem with war. You think it's an innocent thing. I mean, it happened to be the U.S. I'm sure it was not intentional that they knew kids were in the school, but nonetheless, the result is that I can't remember how many, maybe 150 children in Iran were killed. Those are children. I mean, parents. I mean, absolutely not. I mean, nobody's better. I always say, there's arguments. Different groups say we're better. Our religion's better. The Quran says, in some parts say, thou shalt smite those who don't believe in Muhammad. Some of the Jewish people say we're the chosen people and stuff like that. And it's all bullshit. It's like, look, I say, do you think God only made one good batch of cookies and he burnt the rest, and he told the good cookies, destroy the mistakes that I made, get rid of all those burnt cookies? It's like we're all, we all decide who, we're born into usually a religion or whatever. And, when we're black and white, we didn't have a choice. We didn't line up and say, I'll take this or that. We're all in this together. And I mean, it's ridiculous look, as Ernest Hemingway said about war, no matter how justified it is, it's still a crime. I mean, we're murdering people. It's
absolutely right.
So
you're absolutely right, Allan. Thank you for that. And I don't want to leave before we might have to extend just to get all our guests here, Vanessa and Allan, if that's okay. I'd like to at least read their comments and let them know what we're thinking about. The difference is that one religion's belief it's okay to kill the others. That's not religion. That's terrorism. Stephanie, I don't know if that's true of any religion. I think that people bastardize the religion for whatever case, I think that propaganda is a big player in what people believe in. Thank you for that, Jill Sheridan. And there are actual war crimes. We love all peoples. Deborah Harris, thank you. Believe it is okay. Everyone had a gun shooting in all directions. What if the friendly fire end up killing the kids? To Mary, that's absolutely a threat. That's why, as the former Detroit police officer and former deputy sheriff Joan Meriwether pointed out, that training is essential. And I didn't get to her comment, but I remembered it. War is good for nothing. Yes, a bomb like guns have no name on it. One of my reasons that I was really proud of the presidential candidate that appeared on our show, Dr. Cornel West, who's out there fighting for all people, all kids, all children are the future. Marlon Holt, that's absolutely right. Biden did leave the borders open. I think we need to quit getting into blaming people. I don't care. This is some activist that tried to breach or did breach the temple in West Bloomfield. This was a terrorist that spent 7 years in prison in Virginia and was released and was still hell-bent on doing what he was doing. It's not Joe Biden's fault. It's not Donald Trump's fault. It's his fault, right? Did the potential shooter, Stanley Brooks, thank you for your point. Did the potential shooter thought that the synagogue was a soft target? Apparently, he was outside for 2 hours, so we don't know. Jay Evans is trying to blame Biden. That doesn't really make any sense. I understand your point. Many jails and prisons, inmates somehow have cell phones. Less is more. Hey, Les, we can't keep drivers off phones. How are we going to keep kids off phones? Donna Worden. Sometimes they're hiding in a closet, whispering on a phone. Jill, that was kind of my point. Thank you so much for pointing that out. I saw a hairdresser threatened with a firearm in Detroit. Well, that's threatened or threaten? It says threaten, Marlon. Wow, this hour is gone by fast, Jay. Too fast. Possession of a phone and using it during class hours is not the same issues. Exactly, Stephanie. That was my point. For emergency purposes only. When we talked about the yo-yo taken away from the kids or the paper airplanes or whatever it was that Allan got in trouble for. We don't need 1,000 students to be screaming into a phone. Thank you. We said that. We read that earlier. What if the school office is attached first and cell phones are locked up? I require that all my students put their phones away. Exactly, Kenneth. We have a pouch to put their phones in during testing and final exams. All children are precious. Condemn all who target them. Israel, America, and the man who retaliated. To Mary. Are there 2 Deborah Harrises out there? I hope we get 3 Deborah Harrises, because I always like Deborah Harris. Lockdown drills in safe rooms with reinforced doors in each classroom is the best strategy. Ms. Suzuki, less is more. These incidents support virtual learning. Stanley Brooks, I met lone wolves. We create this kind of problem by targeting innocent people. Thank you, Mike Bunch. To Mary. If this war would never have started, would we be discussing this? Well, we would. Yes and no, Timothy. I don't think we might be discussing these particular incidents, but violence happens every day in this country. There is a double standard. Lone wolves are just concerning a sleeper cell. Stanley, our Jewish children, we know the answer to that. To Mary, all kids are precious. Some superintendents resist metal detectors because they don't want a jail culture. And that's where the education class and the enforcement class kind of clash. But there should be a happy medium. I don't think people are wanting to accept the way things are, Donna. Hairdressers are bullies, Marlon. Metal detectors working. So we're talking about a hairdresser threatening.
That has never been my experience. Never.
He pulled the gun out. There was an argument over the payment.
That has never been my experience.
Mary, you talk about why the gunman went there. Well, he lost his family too. I don't think people talked about the fact that his wife left him. She was an American citizen. He came here, became a citizen, had 2 kids. They're gone. And like many incidents in this country, domestic incidents create these kind of conflicts. So we can point the finger at whoever we feel most comfortable with. I think the fault lies with the attacker.
I think, in the end, look, people can only take so much in their lives, but really, if your life is fucked up, don't take it out on other, people. Deal with it yourself. If you really can't be on this earth anymore, you want to kill yourself, but don't go out and kill everybody. He essentially was on a suicide mission, knowing that he probably was not going to come out of there alive. And, people, like you say, he went through divorce, the children, that's an emotional thing. And then the loss, this and that. It's like we all go through stuff in life, and we all don't go into a supermarket and say, I'm going to take out everybody. We have to, and that's an issue of mental health. Do we have enough really, people treating mental health properly and stuff like that? Obviously, look, the guy lost it. And, he had some mental health issues, and, he took it out, tried to take it out. It's a miracle that it was minimized in what happened. But
thank you, DeBragg, for your comment about cognitive dissonance between Allan and I. I'm not sure I quite understand. We were talking about a U.S. senator talking about victims, the Jewish people being victims, and nobody was suggesting that other people were not being abused or being discriminated against. I'll just use that word to be kind. I don't think Allan or I made any comments suggesting that. Thank you. And Marlon, Joan, thank you. Janet, Jay, thank you all. Kenneth Reed, thank you all for your comments. Duela, we have to go, but if we missed you, we're sorry. Come back on Wednesday and we'll catch up. We appreciate everything.
Yeah, we thank you all. I put it in the chat. We thank you all. We'll be back on Wednesday. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Take care. Bye.